excited to share some information with all of you about career opportunities in a position that's really important to all of us at the ARC Fond du Lac. So my name is Liz Morrell. I am the executive director of the ARC Fond du Lac. We are a nonprofit human services agency that supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Fond du Lac, Dodge, and Winnebago counties, as well as their families. So that's really kind of our official formal way of explaining what we do. What we really do is we help to make sure that every member of our community is able to be independent, they're able to be involved in the community, and that they're able to do that in a way that works for them. Because full inclusion looks different for each person, right? So we provide direct services and support so that folks with IDD can be integrated in our community. So intellectual and developmental disabilities would be things like autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, fetal alcohol syndrome, sensory processing disorders, things like that. So we offer a variety of services and supports. And we offer services to folks of all ages. So people can actually begin accessing our services when they're as young as 5, and we're with people for the entirety of their life. So we not only have folks that are little kids, we also have folks that are in their 80s that are hanging out with us and are taking advantage of the services that we offer. So what are some of the things that the ARC Fond du Lac does? And I promise this all makes a ton of sense as background information when I get to the particular career option that I'm going to be chatting with you about today. Our direct services include things like adult and youth day programming. So an opportunity for people to come to our main location and participate in a day program. So they're here from 8 in the morning until about 3 in the afternoon. And it covers a variety of things that allow them to work toward that goal of being independent and integrated in the community. We have residential services. We operate a number of what is typically called group homes. So single family or regular houses where folks live. So people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, they live together in a group of 4 or 5, and they have staff support from the ARC Fond du Lac to live in that space and make sure their needs are met, but also that they can have an independent living experience. We offer recreational and social programming. That's things like Special Olympics, which you might be familiar with. It's also cooking classes, trips to the farmer's market, outings to Wisconsin Dells. It might be a trip to Lake Michigan for a day at the beach. It could be an art class. It might be yoga, or it could be pickleball at the Y. So all sorts of different things that are recreational or social. And that social side of things, dances, monthly birthday bingo. So where you play bingo when we celebrate the birthdays for that month. It might be getting to know new folks and really building those relationships. We also offer transportation. Transportation is really important as a way to empower and support people that have IDD in accessing the community. A lot of our folks don't drive. Some can and choose not to, some simply can't. So making sure that there's accessible transportation, so things like wheelchair lifts or different styles of seats and seat belts and safety equipment is really important so that our folks are able to take part in the community and get to the things that they need to do. So that could be the grocery store, doctor's appointments, events that we're offering, all sorts of things. We also do advocacy and education work. One of the parts of our mission is also to support families of those with IDD. So our education and advocacy is really about helping families and other friends of people with IDD to support them throughout their entire life. So that could be learning new skills. It might be talking about how you develop a plan for the future because no one lives forever, right? So if I'm a caregiver for my loved one who has Down syndrome, what happens when I'm not here? So that's a lot of our education work. Our advocacy work is a lot of public policy. So things with, on the state level, the Assembly or the Senate. So things that are happening in the state, the budget. And on a national level, it's really talking more to our Congress people about things that are happening on a bigger scale, like with Medicaid. In terms of locations, I already hinted at the fact we're here in Fond du Lac and we have some houses. So our main location is right on Park Ave on your way into Lakeside Park. We are that building with the big orange roof. You can't really miss us. We also own 10 group homes. So 3 of our homes are in North Fond du Lac and 7 of them are here in Fond du Lac. You really wouldn't be able to pick them out in a neighborhood except for when the ARC Fond du Lac flag is flying during the summer months. They look like any other house in their neighborhood. There's really nothing that would distinguish them or call attention to the fact that it's a group home, which is really important in helping our folks feel like they're members of that community. We also own 3 apartment complexes here in Fond du Lac. Those apartments are all operated through Housing and Urban Development, so they have specific requirements for people to live there based on disability, income level, and then age as well. So for folks that are able to live truly independently, that's what those apartments are for. In terms of our size, we have 86 full-time employees. The majority of our employees are direct care workers. And we also have program managers who oversee all of those different services and supports that I was talking to you about. And then we do have leadership staff. So we have a director of finance, a director of programs who oversees those services. We have a fundraising or development director, IT, because no one can exist without technology, maintenance, and then of course myself. So the whole point of today's presentation is to talk to you about a career opportunity. And this is a really great career opportunity, and it's not necessarily unique to the ARC Fond du Lac. There's a lot of agencies here in our community and across the nation where this career is an option. What I love about it and why we're going to chat with you about it is it's incredibly flexible and it's a great pathway career that you could start potentially while you're still in high school or right after high school, or that you could do while you're pursuing an additional degree after high school, or it could just be the career that you decide to build for yourself. So we are going to spend some time today talking about being a direct care worker, which we typically will shorten to say DCW. So a direct care worker, and again, this is the bulk of our staff here at the ARC Fond du Lac. They are the staff that work directly with people that have IDD so that they can live independently in the community, or as whatever independence looks like for them, okay? We have DCWs in every single one of our programs. They are the ones working side by side, hand in hand with our clients. So we have direct care workers in our day program for adults and youth, working in our adult family homes, and then of course helping with all of that recreational and social programming that we do as well. So anytime that we're working with someone who has IDD, I can guarantee that there's a direct care worker involved, okay? So what do they actually do? So they accompany individuals into the community. So if we have a client who is working at, let's say, Goodwill, a direct care worker might go with them to that job to offer support so that they can meet the expectations of that job. They might be supporting our clients in meeting their personal care needs. So some of our clients may need help showering, getting dressed, eating, taking medication. A direct care worker would help with all of those things. They would assist in cooking, cleaning, other household tasks, things like laundry, rearranging furniture if someone wants to rearrange their room, grocery shopping, all of those things. Anything that you might do in your household, our direct care workers would help our clients do. They also create opportunities to build and maintain skills through activities and experiences. That's a really fancy way of saying that our direct care worker staff get to have a lot of fun with our clients. So they are able to come up with different activities that will help our clients meet their individual goals. So that might be creating a craft project that will allow a client to work on their manual dexterity or their fine motor skills. So how well can they pick something up or set something down, right? It could also be a passion project, right? So we have staff that are fabulously talented musicians. So they create opportunities for our clients to learn how to play the piano, to experience playing the drums, and really sharing kind of what they're interested in doing. So they get to have a ton of fun. This is not a job where you are behind a desk. This is definitely a job where you are really with another person all the time, and you're helping them do the things they want to do in order to have that independence and that integration in the community. They also help people with IDD as needed to complete a task or activity. So I touched on this a little bit, but I really want to expand on it because I think this is something that's so cool about this particular career and why it's such a great pathway to other things that you may be thinking about doing. Okay. Oftentimes, when we see someone with a disability, our natural instinct is to help. And helping sometimes looks like doing it for them, right? Our clients, we really want them to be involved in making informed decisions and having the right to choose. So, the same way that you and I get to say, I really don't like doing this activity, I want to do this, or I don't feel like having broccoli for dinner, I would rather have dino nuggets, right? Our clients have those same rights and that same ability. Same thing goes for doing activities, right? So if we're working on, I'm going to use an art project because I don't have art skills, so this hits pretty close to home for me. So if we're working on an art project and our client, who's a person with IDD, is struggling maybe to get paint on a paintbrush, right? Our natural inclination might be to take the paintbrush and put the paint on it and hand it back to them, right? What we'd rather see and what our direct care workers do is they support our client in doing that themselves. So that might be going hand over hand. So if I'm holding the paintbrush in this hand, our direct care worker might put their hand over the top and help guide me to get paint on that paintbrush. Or they might pick up the paint cup and help you to dip the paintbrush in the paint cup by moving that paint cup, right? Or they might ask you, do you want me to do that for you? Or how can I best help you? Okay. So when we say helping someone, our DCWs really are there as a support and a partner in whatever our clients are doing. So all of those super fun things we do, the baking, the activities, the sports, the trips into the community, our direct care workers are there side by side with our clients, which is really an amazing opportunity for folks. All right, so a day in the life. I know I kind of touched on a lot of different things that our DCWs do, and obviously they're in all of our programs. So a day in the life of a DCW at the ARC Fond du Lac looks different based on what program they might be working in. So in our day program or our recreational and social programs, these are some things that a DCW would do. So they develop and review lesson plans. They come up with the activities that we're doing. We have clients here for a full day. We're not just sitting around. We need things to do. And all of the things that our clients do are specifically designed to help meet their goals. So if they really want to, let's say something that's really important to a client is being able to prepare a meal for themselves, right? It can be a super simple meal, but they really want to be able to prepare a meal for themselves. We're going to have our direct care workers create activities that build the skills necessary to do that. So it could be planning a shopping list. It could be a trip to the grocery store to, work on how you walk through or navigate through the grocery store. So they do things like that. They prepare and lead activities. So if you're doing a craft project, you got to get the stuff ready for the craft project. So that's also something our direct care workers would do. The most important thing they do, though, is they engage with clients and they build relationships. Our direct care workers know our clients so well. They are viewed more as friends. Our clients don't see them as staff, right? It's their job. They're here doing their job, but they get to know our clients on this incredible personal level, and they know them for a really long time. A lot of our clients are with us for years. Our staff, if they stay with us for a long time, really, really get to know those clients, and that relationship is so important. They're also going to assist with meals, toileting, giving folks medications that they might need, any other needs, right? Obviously being in Wisconsin, sometimes winter gets a little cold, right? It gets a little snowy. So they might help put on winter boots if we're going to go outside. They might help with zipping up a coat at the end of the day. They also follow up with all of the additional staff that support our clients. So that's people like case managers. So those are folks that work for the ARC Fond du Lac, and they are responsible for kind of the goals and objectives, the things our clients are trying to do. Care teams. So all of our clients receive services from a variety of agencies, the state and the federal government as well. So they have people in each of those agencies, each of those organizations that are part of their care team and help make sure that on a whole level, big picture, their life is kind of all working together. And then guardians, right? So it could be parents, siblings, someone else who just helps make sure that the interests and the well-being of our clients is looked out for. So our DCWs will talk about things that our clients achieved. They'll talk about maybe some challenges or some behaviors that happened during the day. So maybe, they needed to go into a sensory space to calm down and they took apart a toy, right? And then they also prepare the space for the next day. Again, it's a day program or it's our afternoon and evenings with recreation and social. So in those cases, just making sure we're set up for the next day. The work and the day of a DCW actually looks a little bit different in our residential program because, again, it's a house, right? It's a house. There are 4 to 5 people with IDD that live there. They all have their own bedrooms. There's a living room, kitchens, basements, yards, all sorts of stuff, right? It's all the pieces of a house. They're all there. It is a household, so the day looks a little bit different. One of the things about the ARC that is cool and is a little different from some other agencies is we do have our staff sleep in the house. So there's a specific room for our direct care workers with their own bathroom, their own bed, kind of a workstation, kind of their space. So they sleep there overnight and they're paid for sleeping there. So their day really starts by waking up with the residents. So they get up with the residents. They might need to help a resident get out of bed. They might need to help a resident transition from bed into a power chair or a wheelchair. We have some residents who, much like myself, don't really believe the alarm clock means you have to get up. So they might go in and actually make sure someone is, getting up and starting their day. They'll get residents prepared for their day. So a lot of our residents either come to a day program, either at the ARC or somewhere else in the community, or they may go to work. A lot of our residents in our group homes do work in the community. So our direct care workers help them get ready for their day. So that could be packing a lunch, making sure they're eating breakfast or preparing their breakfast, helping ensure that they're dressed appropriately and remembering all of the things that they need to take with them. So much like the adults in your life may help you get out of the door in the morning, our DCWs are doing the same types of things. They also work and help with household tasks. So it's really important for me to let you know that our direct care workers, they're not maids. We expect all of the folks that live in our group homes, they're helping our direct care workers with household tasks as much as they're able, right? Because our direct care workers are there to do things with, not necessarily for, folks with IDD. So part of living independently is building the skills. So that might be, a client might sort their own laundry. So a DCW might help them sort their laundry into like the appropriate piles, right? It could be preparing meals. Some of our homes, our residents love to cook. So they cook with our direct care workers all the time. They also participate in just the things that happen in the house. Again, it's a house, it's a family, they're a household unit. So our residents have all lived together for a long time. And they come home at the end of the day, they might play a board game. They have favorite TV shows that they watch as a group. They might go on outings. Just like many of us, our clients, our house residents, they love a trip to Target. I run into our homes and the folks that live in our homes at Target all the time. They often have more things in their cart than I do, so I usually feel better about myself. Though it could be because I run into them like at the start of my Target trip. So they go to Target, they go bowling, they go to Lakeside Park to walk, they might go out to dinner. So all of the things that a family unit would do, our group homes do, and our DCWs are part of that experience. And then just like the start of the day, at the end of the day, they're going to help residents prepare for bed. So again, it could be some of those personal needs like showering, taking medications, getting into bed. All of those things are part of the day of a DCW in our residential program. So that's kind of a snapshot of what a direct care worker does. So let me tell you a little bit about education and qualifications. Here's the great thing. This is an incredibly accessible career path and job opportunity, okay? Some of this is specific to the ARC Fond du Lac. Some of this is going to hold true anywhere you might want to work, okay? Generally speaking, a direct care worker needs to have a high school diploma or equivalent. There are a lot of opportunities, though. If you turn 18 before you finish high school, you may still be able to work as a direct care worker. It just kind of depends on what the specifics of the role and that workplace might be, okay? But generally speaking, a high school diploma is a requirement that's necessary. Specialized training or credentials. So I have an asterisk after this because it really does depend, okay? So for our group homes, they are all licensed by the state of Wisconsin. So there is specialized training and credentials that are required. Don't let that scare you off. Don't let that be seen as a barrier. Those trainings and credentials, that's something that the ARC or any other employer would get you into the right classes or the right courses, and make sure that you have those things when you start that role. Okay, so these are the things that are kind of less technical, but super important from my perspective as an employer of predominantly direct care workers, right? Compassion. You have to have compassion. When you're working with someone with a disability, when you're working with the family or the friends of someone with a disability, there's a lot of challenging things that happen in their day-to-day life. And that's not necessarily challenges related to their health or well-being. It could be challenges in being an active part of the community. It could be a challenge in not being able to participate in something they want to participate in. It might be a challenging interaction with a community member. So we got to have compassion. Creativity. Creativity is so important. None of us want to do the same thing day in and day out, right? Even in school, right? Like you have the same classes every day, but not necessarily the exact same topic, right? So if you learned on Monday that 2 + 2 = 4, that's not going to be the only thing you ever learn in math, right? You're going to learn lots of other stuff and build on that. We want the same things to happen in our programs and our services for folks with IDD. So we need DCW staff that are creative, that are excited, and this goes into the next point, about working with people. So that enthusiasm to come to work every day and know that you're going to interact and engage with people is super important and really necessary for this work. We also want folks that have the initiative or the ability to work independently or collaboratively. So here's how this shakes out. In our day program, our direct care workers typically work in teams because they're with a larger group of clients. So we might have one of our rooms that has 8 clients in it, and there'll be 2 staff in that room. There could be other rooms that have more staff. It all depends on the individual needs of our clients. So in that case, our direct care workers have to be able to work collaboratively, right? On the flip side, in our adult family homes or our group homes, so that in-house environment, it's one direct care worker working with 4 residents. So you have to kind of be able to find that balance and do both of those things. You certainly have support in this position from, supervisors, managers, and also from like guardians and care teams, but it is important to be able to work independently as well as collaboratively. So I've mentioned this a couple of times, and I really, really, really want to drive this home. A direct care worker role is an amazing pathway for a lot of different careers. So if you're thinking, you might want to, after high school, pursue some sort of post-secondary, so after high school education, there's a lot of things that this particular type of work really sets you up for. It gives you some amazing skills, amazing experiences, and ultimately makes you more prepared, better qualified, and honestly, probably more likely to get hired in some of these other areas. So if you're thinking about nursing or being a CNA, if you're thinking about social work, special education as a teacher, as a teacher's aide or paraprofessional, if you're thinking about counseling, anything where you might be working with people, particularly folks with disabilities, this type of work as a direct care worker is super, super beneficial. It's also really, really flexible, which is something I'm going to touch on for you in a little bit. So skills needed, I just wanted to kind of back up but move forward to hit on that specialized training or credentials, because folks do often have questions about it, because again, it's a role that works directly with people with disabilities. So it's reasonable that there would be some additional skills or training that you would need. So the training that we typically need for our folks to work in our day program or in our group homes are medical administration, which is a really fancy way of knowing how to give folks medications, right? So we keep really detailed records of what medications our clients have and also when they take them, and we track all of that. We do first aid training and fire safety training. So again, we're in buildings, we're out in the community, things happen. So it's basic first aid, basic fire safety. Fire safety day does include the opportunity to learn how to use a fire extinguisher, which I think is the best part personally. We also do training on personal care. So how do you safely support and assist someone with their hygiene needs? So how do you help someone in or out of a shower? How do you help someone brush their teeth? How do you handle changing clothes, right? So we go over all of that. That's like a whole day-long course. We also do training on lifting. So in a direct care worker role with folks with IDD, you might also see this in like a more traditional like hospital setting or a nursing home setting. Sometimes you got to lift people up, and there's a way to do that safely to not hurt yourself, and that's really important. We also go over challenging behaviors. That's really what we talk about with how you respond to behaviors. So how you respond when someone gets upset, how you respond if someone doesn't want to talk, how do you respond if someone maybe throws things, how do you respond if someone is crying, right? So our clients can't always express how they're feeling the same way that you or I may be able to. So we work with our staff to make sure that they know how to respond and best support folks when they're in one of those situations. I also have listed as a certified nursing assistant. So not at the ARC, but a lot of agencies will actually help direct care workers complete CNA certifications, or they may specifically hire CNAs. So again, going back to that idea, this is an incredible pathway for a number of different things that you might want to do. Pay range. I'm going to be super honest. Direct care workers are woefully underpaid. There's a lot of reasons for it. It is not that folks like the ARC or families or care teams don't want to pay more. Our direct care workers are worth more than I could ever possibly pay. We don't exist and our clients don't achieve without our direct care workers. They are incredibly important. That being said, the services that the ARC provides and other agencies or businesses like the ARC, the services we provide are typically funded through the federal program of Medicaid. So that means money has to flow all the way from the federal government down to the state, down to kind of a provider organization, right? And then down to us here at the ARC Fond du Lac, right? So there's a lot of steps, and at each of those steps, a little bit of money kind of comes off of that total to pay for some of the administration and the logistics of all of that, right? So that's kind of the technical reason that the pay is not really where it should be and not where our direct care workers deserve for it to be. Here in Wisconsin, the governor actually had a task force on caregiving, and one of their main charges was to address the direct care worker crisis in Wisconsin. And that crisis is the pay and the turnover, so how many people come into the career and then leave. So in Wisconsin, we're actually in a really great position in having the support of the state government to see some changes here. So I've given you the national average, which is $11.76 an hour. Oftentimes you'll see enhanced pay or extra pay for nights, weekends, and holidays, because again, in a home, folks are there all the time. Some agencies pay staff to sleep on site, so you get sleep time. The ARC is one of those agencies. So typically our residents are in bed anywhere between 8 to 10 p.m. Just kind of depends on the person. And that overnight shift, our staff, once everyone's in bed, they might, do a couple of household things or other work tasks, and then they really can do what they want as long as they're in the house and responding if needed. So if you're a student, right, like if you might be a college student, you can do your homework and we're going to pay you. If you don't have that, you go to bed and I pay you. We pay $8 an hour for you to sleep. So there's a lot of different things that you can kind of look at that adjust some of this. You also will see additional pay based on experience or skills, right? So if you come into a direct care worker role as a CNA, you're probably going to get paid more. Locally here in Fond du Lac, there's a number of organizations and agencies that hire direct care workers. You will typically see a pay range from $11.25 an hour to $13.25 an hour as like a base or starting amount. And from any of those kind of wages, right, you might see things tacked on for nights, weekends, holidays. You might see employers like the ARC that offer benefits, so things like health insurance, retirement, life insurance, those types of things. Okay, nationally, there are about 1.3 million direct care workers supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That's just direct care workers for intellectual and developmental disabilities, right? There are people that provide direct care to senior citizens and all sorts of other folks, right? So just for people with IDD, it's 1.3 million DCW jobs. More than half of those are part-time. So why do I highlight this for you? This is an amazing pathway career to a lot of different things if that's your goal. It's also just a great rewarding position in general, and it's super flexible. This is a really great job to pursue if you need flexibility. Our folks that work in our group homes, for them to work full time, so 40 hours a week, they typically work two to 3 days a week with how our shifts work, okay? So they only work 3 days a week. They have the other 4 to do whatever they want, right? And that's full time. If you're working part-time, you might work 1 or 2 shifts a week. So there's a lot of flexibility. And if you're in a residential setting or a home setting, you can add in kind of those evening and weekend opportunities. And again, that's a lot of hours that could be available and a lot of flexibility. So some things to take in high school, really there's nothing specific to take in high school. If you have an interest in psychology or human behavior, by all means pursue that. I think extracurriculars maybe make a little bit more sense. So volunteer with people with IDD, volunteer with Special Olympics, get some volunteer experiences in a nursing home. Folks love having younger people like all of you come in and do activities and get to know folks. Those are really valuable skills. And then, oftentimes I think education focused clubs like Future Teachers or things like that could be helpful if that's something that you're interested in. But I think it's really good to know, like, there's not specific classes you have to take. Pretty much anything would prepare you, because really a lot of it comes down to your ability to be creative. So my advice, I already hit on all of these things. So direct care worker, it's a really flexible schedule. Think creatively about work or experiences that move you forward. You're young. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have it all figured out in high school. You don't have to have it all figured out right after high school. I'm a lot of years removed from all of those things, and I'm still not sure I have it completely figured out, okay? So think creatively about where you think you want to go and what experiences could get you there. So DCW work is a great bridge between high school and like a tech college or a 4-year degree, right? So again, you have flexibility. You could do a lot of different things. And then I also wanted to point out that here at the ARC, we have a number of direct care workers that are college students. They're in nursing, social work, special education. They're doing all sorts of stuff. And the direct care worker job is an amazing fit for them because of how flexible that schedule is and also how short, right, in terms of the number of days a full-time work week could be, okay? My last piece of advice, seek a role that you get some personal satisfaction from. The thing I hear over and over and over from our staff is that being a direct care worker is incredibly rewarding. And that's the most amazing part. So I would strongly encourage you to absolutely consider this if you're thinking about some of these paths, or if you're, just open to a new experience. Definitely consider working as a direct care worker. You will take away not only real work experience, but some amazing skills that are going to translate into anything that you choose to do, from working with individuals with disabilities to working with colleagues. Good creative thinking, problem solving skills. You would get a lot from this role, so don't hesitate to consider it.